Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly multiply their resources, opportunities, and success, while others struggle despite having similar starting points? What if I told you that an ancient biblical parable holds the key to unlocking exponential growth in every area of your life? Are you ready to discover the secret that transformed a poor Depression-era boy into America's foremost philosopher of success? A secret so powerful yet so simple that it's been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years. Today, we're exploring the revolutionary wisdom of Earl Nightingale and the biblical parable that changed everything for him and could change everything for you. This isn't just another motivational talk. This is about the fundamental law that governs all achievement, a principle so unwavering that Nightingale built his entire philosophy around it. Whatever we plant in our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become our reality. Imagine having the ability to multiply everything valuable in your life. Imagine knowing with absolute certainty that your talents, when properly invested, could yield returns beyond your wildest expectations. What would you do differently? How would you live if you truly understood that every gift, every skill, every opportunity is a seed with the power to transform your destiny? The answer to these questions could be worth millions to you in dollars, relationships, and life satisfaction. Are you ready to discover what Earl Nightingale knew that most people never will? Earl Nightingale was born in 1921 in poverty-stricken Los Angeles during the height of the Great Depression. His father abandoned the family when Earl was just a child, leaving his mother to raise him and his two brothers in extreme hardship. At age 12, young Earl asked the librarian in his local public library why some people became successful while others remained poor. This question would define his lifelong quest. When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941, Nightingale joined the Marines and was one of only 15 men who survived the bombing of the USS Arizona. This brush with death intensified his determination to understand the laws of success. After the war, Nightingale began a career in radio broadcasting, where his resonant voice and philosophical insights quickly gained attention. But his true breakthrough came in 1956 when he recorded The Strangest Secret, a spoken-word record that became the first spoken-word message to receive a gold record by selling over 1 million copies. What distinguished Nightingale was his extraordinary ability to distill complex philosophical concepts into actionable wisdom. His measured, authoritative delivery belied the revolutionary nature of his message. Unlike many motivational speakers who relied on hype and emotion, Nightingale offered substantive principles based on his decades of research into the world's wisdom traditions. His influence extends through generations of thought leaders including Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, and countless others who consider him the father of modern motivation. Until his passing in 1989, Nightingale remained dedicated to the idea that we become what we think about most of the time, and that this simple truth is the strangest secret of success. Ready to multiply your life's potential with timeless wisdom? Subscribe to our channel now for weekly insights inspired by Earl Nightingale and other success philosophers. Click the subscribe button below and join our community of growth-minded individuals dedicated to developing a multiplication mindset. The parable of the talents stands as one of Jesus' most economically significant teachings in the New Testament, found in Matthew 25:14-30. In its original context, this narrative served multiple purposes: as practical instruction about stewardship, as a moral framework for understanding responsibility, and as a spiritual principle regarding divine expectations. The story follows three servants entrusted with differing amounts of talents, a talent being a unit of currency in the ancient world, worth approximately 20 years of a laborer's wages, roughly equivalent to $1.2 million in today's value. In Niwa, the parable, a master departs on a journey and entrusts his property to three servants according to their abilities: 5 talents to one, 2 talents to another, and 1 talent to the third. Upon his return, he finds that the first servant doubled the 5 talents to 10, the second doubled the 2 talents to 4, while the third merely buried his single talent in the ground, returning only what he had received. The master praises the first two servants, saying, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much." However, he harshly condemns the third servant, calling him wicked and slothful, taking away his 1 talent and giving it to the servant who now had 10. What makes this parable so enduring is its striking economic wisdom across cultures and time periods. The master doesn't reward the servants based on equal outcomes, but on equal effort. Each was expected to multiply what they received, regardless of the starting amount. The brilliance of this biblical teaching was in establishing a framework where personal responsibility and initiative become paramount, as each person is expected to multiply their entrusted resources according to their capacity. This ancient wisdom formed the perfect foundation for Earl Nightingale's modern philosophy of personal development in post-war America, where opportunity seemed boundless for those willing to invest their talents wisely. Earl Nightingale's genius lay in his ability to extract this ancient parable from its purely religious context and apply it as a universal law of achievement accessible to everyone, regardless of faith background. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal, Nightingale would often say. This statement perfectly encapsulates his secular reframing of the parable of talents, positioning it as a natural law rather than strictly divine judgment. Nightingale's interpretation centered on what he called the multiplication mindset, emphasizing that our mental attitude functions as the soil in which our talents either multiply or diminish. Whatever we plant in our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become reality, he famously stated. This perspective placed the power firmly in the hands of the individual. Unlike some prosperity teachings that emphasize divine blessing alone, Nightingale's philosophy balanced spiritual principles with personal responsibility and psychological insight. What distinguished Nightingale's teaching was his emphasis on clarity of purpose. People with goals succeed because they know where they're going, he taught. This insight transformed the biblical parable into a practical formula for success. He observed that most people drift through life without direction, taking whatever comes along, like the third servant who buried his talent out of fear. Through countless radio broadcasts across America, Nightingale helped people understand that extraordinary lives don't emerge from playing it safe, but from boldly investing one's talents with intention and purpose. The harvest of success, he taught, was available to anyone willing to first clarify their destination, then consistently invest their unique abilities toward that worthy goal. Transform your life through the power of the multiplication mindset. If you've been inspired by Earl Nightingale's reinterpretation of the parable of talents, subscribe now to receive our exclusive content on implementing these principles in modern American life. Hit subscribe and join thousands who are already experiencing exponential growth in their personal and professional lives. Earl Nightingale recognized that truly successful lives required a multiplication approach across multiple dimensions, not just financial prosperity. He identified 5 crucial territories where the principle of multiplication manifests most powerfully in American life. In the financial realm, Nightingale taught that wealth creation begins with how we think about money. The money you attract is in direct proportion to the value you deliver according to the marketplace, he observed. He encouraged Americans to focus on delivering exceptional value first, then capturing a small portion of that value as compensation, planting seeds of service that would grow into financial independence. In the domain of knowledge and skills, Nightingale emphasized continuous learning over formal education alone. 1 hour per day of study in your chosen field is all it takes. 1 hour per day of study will put you at the top of your field within 3 years. Within 5 years, you'll be a national authority. In 7 years, you can be one of the best people in the world at what you do. This systematic approach to skill development reflected the parable's principle of consistent investment, yielding exponential returns. Regarding relationships, Nightingale was equally practical. Your success will be directly proportional to the number of people you help to succeed, he noted, encouraging a multiplication mindset in network building. Perhaps most distinctive was Nightingale's emphasis on thought multiplication. Long before mindfulness became a cultural focus, he advocated for careful curation of mental inputs. "We become what we think about most of the time," became his signature insight. Simple disciplines like selective reading, controlling media, consumption, and intentional visualization were seeds that yielded clarity, purpose, and psychological strength. Finally, Nightingale addressed opportunity multiplication, not through luck, but through preparation. "Luck is when preparedness meets opportunity," he stated. In a distinctly American tradition of self-determination, he taught that opportunities multiply when approached with readiness and recognition. By developing expertise and remaining alert, individuals naturally attract and identify chances for advancement that others miss entirely. One of Earl Nightingale's most valuable contributions to American success philosophy was his honest treatment of time in the multiplication process. Unlike get-rich-quick promoters, Nightingale acknowledged the natural compounding effect that creates exponential growth. "Don't let the fear of the time it will take to accomplish something stand in the way of your doing it," he taught. The "time will pass anyway, we might just as well put that passing time to the best possible use." This insight addressed the fundamental challenge that causes many Americans to abandon positive habits before seeing results. The invisible early growth process that requires faith and persistence. Nightingale often illustrated this principle through the metaphor of farming familiar to his Midwestern American audiences. All successful people, men and women, are big dreamers. They imagine what their future could be, ideal in every respect, and then they work every day toward their distant vision, he explained. He understood that early in any growth process, whether building a business, developing a skill, or improving a relationship, progress often appears minimal despite significant effort. This period requires what he called intelligent persistence, continuing to take action based on principles rather than immediate results. What separated Nightingale from many contemporary success teachers was his emphasis on the compound effect of consistency. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, he insisted. This perspective reframes the waiting period not as frustration, but as essential developmental space where growth compounds. The most valuable harvests, Nightingale taught, often follow a pattern of slow initial progress followed by sudden exponential acceleration, just as compound interest produces its most dramatic results in later years. His teachings encouraged Americans to adopt long-term thinking in a culture increasingly focused on immediate gratification, reminding them that the multiplication mindset requires patience with the process while maintaining unwavering commitment to the goal. Are you ready to master the art of exponential growth in your personal development journey? Subscribe now to receive our exclusive content on developing the multiplication mindset that leads to lasting success. Join our community today and learn how to transform ordinary inputs into extraordinary outcomes through the power of compound growth. The brilliance of Earl Nightingale's teaching lies in its practicality. He transformed abstract principles into concrete daily practices accessible to Americans from all walks of life. Central to his approach was the power of written goals, what he called the most important foundation for multiplication. Nightingale advised writing specific objectives in major life areas, reviewing them daily, and aligning daily activities with these targets. This practice creates what he termed a magnetic force that draws individuals toward their desired future by focusing their subconscious mind. Financial application begins with Nightingale's famous attitude of gratitude principle, recognizing and appreciating current resources before seeking more. This counterintuitive approach creates the psychological foundation for multiplication by establishing abundance consciousness rather than scarcity thinking. In practical terms, he recommended the pay yourself first formula, automatically directing at least 10% of all income into investment vehicles before addressing other financial obligations. This simple discipline has helped countless Americans establish the compounding machinery that eventually leads to financial independence. For skill development, Nightingale created the 1-hour formula, dedicating just 1 hour daily to focused study and practice in your chosen field. Over time, this modest investment compounds dramatically into expertise that the marketplace values highly. He similarly advocated the 5 books principle, deeply studying the 5 most important books in your industry rather than skimming dozens superficially. This concentrated approach yields deeper understanding and more valuable insights than scattered learning. Perhaps most powerfully, Nightingale taught the practice of controlled thinking through morning and evening mental programming sessions. By consciously directing first and last thoughts each day toward desired outcomes, individuals plant seeds in their subconscious mind that eventually bear fruit as inspired ideas and opportunities. Through these practical applications, Nightingale demonstrated that extraordinary multiplication comes not from dramatic initiatives, but from small, consistent investments that compound over time. While Earl Nightingale's interpretation of the parable of talents offers powerful wisdom, honest examination requires acknowledging its limitations and potential misapplications in American culture. Critics note that an overemphasis on individual multiplication can sometimes encourage excessive individualism that neglects community responsibility. Nightingale's philosophy emerged during America's post-war economic boom when opportunity seemed more universally accessible. In today's more complex economy, factors like structural barriers, technological disruption, and starting position significantly impact one's ability to multiply resources regardless of mentality. The principle also faces challenges in contexts where measurement isn't straightforward. Some individuals faithfully apply Nightingale's teachings, yet face setbacks due to factors beyond their control. Market shifts, technological changes, or family emergencies that disrupt even the most disciplined multiplication efforts. Without nuanced application, the principle risks implying that all financial struggles result from poor mindset, potentially breeding judgment rather than compassion. Additionally, some critics observe that American culture's materialistic interpretation can neglect the parable's original emphasis on faithful stewardship rather than personal gain. Perhaps most importantly, Nightingale himself acknowledged the principle's mysterious exceptions. All achievement, all earned riches have their beginning in an idea, he would admit, recognizing that inspiration itself seems to arrive through a combination of preparation and grace. The wisdom lies in creating fertile conditions for multiplication while remaining humble about the ultimate source of breakthrough ideas. These limitations don't invalidate the principle, but invite a more sophisticated application, one that balances personal responsibility with realistic expectations and compassion for oneself and others when results don't match effort. Most mature practitioners of Nightingale's philosophy embrace both its empowering truth and its necessary qualifications. Earl Nightingale's greatest contribution to American personal development may be his ability to bridge ancient wisdom with modern application, creating a philosophy that transcends both religious and secular boundaries. The parable of talents, in Nightingale's hands, becomes not merely a spiritual teaching, but a practical framework for navigating life's opportunities with intention and wisdom. We can let circumstances rule us, or we can take charge and rule our lives from within, he often said. This simple statement encapsulates the heart of his message, that we participate actively in creating our future through present choices about how we invest our talents. Perhaps what makes Nightingale's interpretation so enduring is its balanced perspective. Unlike purely materialistic success philosophies that focus exclusively on financial gain, Nightingale emphasized character development as the foundation for lasting achievement. Our attitude toward life determines life's attitude toward us, he insisted. This insight shifts focus from merely acquiring possessions to developing qualities, clarity, persistence, courage, and service that naturally attract opportunity for multiplication. As we navigate an increasingly complex and rapidly changing world, the timeless wisdom of the parable of talents offers a stabilizing perspective. It reminds us that despite technological and cultural shifts, certain principles remain constant. Multiplication requires initial investment. Small, consistent inputs compound over time. Clarity precedes achievement. Fear leads to buried potential. These truths, illuminated by Nightingale's unique ability to communicate with both simplicity and depth, continue to guide seekers of personal growth decades after he first shared them. His legacy invites each of us to examine what talents we're investing today and to cultivate the multiplication mindset needed to nurture them to full harvest. Ready to transform your life through the power of the multiplication mindset? Subscribe to our channel now for weekly insights inspired by Earl Nightingale and other masters of personal development. Click the subscribe button below and join our community of growth-minded individuals dedicated to multiplying their impact in the world.